And today's a WRAL weather alert day because of this heat advisory that's in effect from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. We'll show you how high the heat index gets and when we could see the return of localized flooding coming up.
And searching on Jordan Lake. Teams arrived this morning in Chatham County after 2 boaters went missing during the storm. What we know about the search efforts to this point. And flood aftermath cleanup. Communities all across the Triangle are recovering from torrential rainfall from Tropical Storm Chantal. We're getting you a look at the progress to repair that damage. Folks have a lot of work they have to get underway today. They've already begun, but boy, the heat today, it's not going to make it any easier. Thanks so much for joining us here on WRAL News on Fox 50. I'm Chris Levingood. Let's talk about that heat. It's one of the reasons why today is a WRAL weather alert day. Chris Michaels is tracking that very closely right now, and that heat advisory, that's really the weather maker of the day.
It really is. And you know, oftentimes when you see a tropical system in September, the days that follow, they're more comfortable, they're less humid. But in July, it's a much different story, right? A heat advisory in effect because the heat index peaks between 104 and 109. Today, our thunderstorm threat is pretty limited, pretty isolated, but because of that heat, they have enough juice to feed off of, and there's a level 1 risk out of 5 for severe weather. The risk is slightly higher as you head farther north into Virginia, but there's a decent amount of dry time today, and not everybody is going to see thunderstorms. In fact, at its peak, it's about 30 to 40% of the 23 counties that we cover, and that's going to be after about 4 or 5 p.m. Here's some good news to pass along. The Eno River, the Haw River in Chatham County, the Cape Fear in Lillington, they continue to recede below flood stage. They're still moving fast. They're still moving higher than normal, but at least there's some improvement there. Now, Wednesday and Thursday, we see an increase in storm coverage. That does mean there's a slightly higher threat for some localized flooding. We'll detail that coming up in your complete forecast. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Chris. And Michelle McConaughey in for Ken Smith this morning. This is a live look I-87 at US 64. Looking pretty good in this area this morning. As the morning has progressed, we have seen a couple of crashes pop up. You can see a couple of them dotted on this map, along with some red and yellowing on the map indicating some delays. But we're going to try to get to as much of it as we can for you in this 30 seconds that we have. Serious crash here, Nightdale Boulevard near Smithfield Road. That crash has since cleared. It is showing some yellowing on the map, but a tow truck was just in that area taking the car away, and that scene has cleared, so you shouldn't have any trouble in that area. A little further up the road, US 64 near Arundel Avenue. This was looking a lot worse about 30 minutes ago, so this has improved pretty. You just saw the yellow disappear. The crash is still showing up there, but not seeing too many delays from that one. That seems to have cleared, which is some good news. Up in Durham, North Gregson Street near Trinity Avenue. That crash has been there for a little while. Not seeing any delays from that one. And just north of it on Guest Road near Lotta Road, also not seeing any delays from that crash either, which is some good news. Let's take a look at some current I-40 delays. A 6-minute delay I-440 to US 1 and another 6-minute delay from Wade Avenue to I-540. If you're not watching us on TV, listen to us anytime on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Happening now, teams have arrived at Jordan Lake to resume the search for 2 missing boaters, and it's been more than 24 hours since those 2 people were last seen launching their canoe. This is where WRAL's Ali Kavdabar has been there, Jordan Lake. Ali, what types of challenges are these teams facing this morning?
Yes, Chris. Well, we know that water level has risen overnight, posing some challenges for the search operations here. And you can see that water level behind me. It's definitely risen. It's 13 feet above normal. That's according to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And we know it's only expected to rise based on the sheriff of Chatham County here. Now, we have seen one raft go in. We know that they had to use smaller rafts for their search efforts today because of that rising water level. We've seen one go in. I believe we're about to see another one take off as well. Now, this is all in an effort to find 2 missing boaters. They went missing around 5 on Sunday. They were last seen then. Their canoes turned up empty, and we saw search crews out here more than 8 hours yesterday, so they have been using every resource possible to find these 2 missing boaters. I know everybody out here, including possible family members, loved ones, and search agencies, are just looking at that water right now with hope, clinging on to hope. Reporting in Chatham County, Ali Kathabar, WRAL News.
You can't help but hope for the best in this situation. Happening today, Governor Josh Stein is expected to visit the area's hardest hit from Chantal's rainfall, and that caused historic and record-breaking floods the last 2 days. He'll tour Lake Michael Park in Mebane to survey the flood damage there from Tropical Storm Chantal. That storm caused major damage across our viewing area Sunday into yesterday. We're talking about thousands of people losing power and dozens of roads being flooded and washed out across central North Carolina. And dozens of people were rescued from their homes in Durham after the Eno River flooded. And this flooding, it was so severe, states of emergency were declared in Moore and Orange counties. And we have team coverage of the cleanup efforts underway across our viewing area. We do want to start with Kelsey Coffey live in Chapel Hill. And Kelsey, businesses there, I mean, they really just have their hands full trying to undo the flood damage.
Yes, Chris, it's going to be a long road for these businesses to recover. You can see that we're at this wine store at Eastgate Crossing Shopping Center. You can see all of this wine that's here outside of the building now. Cleanup crews have removed it from the building, and they have to wash all of these bottles off before they're able to be put in the dumpster. We had some of those wine bottles spilled, so you may be able to still tell that there's some wine mixed in here with the mud. But there's a very distinct smell between the wine, the trash, and just all of the debris that's here. But we'll go ahead and show you some video now from yesterday so you can just see the extensive damage to all of these buildings that are here at Eastgate Crossing. We know that Mary Stowe's yarn store was one of these buildings that was affected. She says repairs are adding another financial strain on her business after being impacted by tariffs. She explains how there's several more steps to take before even considering those repairs.
Inspectors have condemned the building, this whole shopping center, and they cut the power. And until we can get this whole building up to code, they won't turn the power back on.
And just overall here in Orange County, nearly 90 people were forced out of their homes and more than 60 of them had to be rescued. So we'll be sure to keep you updated on what's going on here in Chapel Hill. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Chapel Hill.
And that's just one community dealing with the aftermath. Dozens of people are out of their homes in Durham because of flooding from the Eno River. The water receded, but the recovery process, it is far from over. This is where we find WRAL's Laura Levine in Durham to tell us about how people are responding to this. I mean, you can just see the street behind you there, Laura. It's muddy.
Chris, and many people are just beginning to wake up and really get a closer look at some of their vehicles parked here behind me. This is where what we saw, a lot of the flood impacts here. Essentially, all of this was underwater. You can see the vehicles that were parked here. The water rose all the way above the roof. So we have been speaking with people who live in this community this morning, still kind of shocked over the last 24 to really 40 hours in this community. Taking a look at some of this video from yesterday, you can really see how the relentless rain from Chantal brought the historical flooding to the Eno River with the water impacting this community. We got to see dozens of people being rescued by boats as the floodwaters entered their homes, reaching chest level, and vehicles floating in the water. The areas of High Meadow Road, Omega Road, Felicia Street, and Greymount Drive were also impacted. So this morning we spoke with Bruce Wilkerson. He was trying to start up his car and his bike that was just floating in the water. Take a listen.
I didn't know if it was going to get worse or not, and I wasn't expecting a flood. I was just like, okay, I guess something caught on fire or something like that when fire department's here. And then I got downstairs and my feet were wet, and I was like, because I'm still groggy waking up. I get out here, I'm looking around, I'm like, wait, this is all water.
Yeah, so you can just hear from him as he's recounting what he experienced yesterday, just the shock that many people experienced on what they saw here. Now, they did get to have some communication with the leasing office here, and they're actually going to be moved to different locations, a part of this complex that was not impacted by the flooding. Meanwhile, the Red Cross opened an emergency shelter last night for those who are displaced. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Durham.
Folks, with more severe weather on the way this week, remember you can stay on top of the forecast. Do that by downloading the newly redesigned WRAL weather app. It's free to download and use. A highway patrol chase ended in a Raleigh neighborhood early this morning, and this happened just after 1 o'clock. Troopers say the chase started after a man took off from a traffic stop, and the chase ended in a neighborhood off Six Forks Road. Highway Patrol says the man was later found hiding in a culvert and the suspect had felony warrants. Today, we are expecting a preliminary report from the FAA on a plane crash in Lee County. This is that one that killed a family of 4. Candace and Travis Buchanan, along with their 2 young children, 10-year-old Aubrey and 9-year-old Walker, died in the crash. The plane went down in a field just north of Sanford yesterday afternoon, and Sky 5 was above that crash site helping to locate the plane for emergency teams. People who knew the family say they owned Buchanan Farms in Sanford, and WRAL spoke with a man named Abraham Garcia. He worked at the farm for more than 8 years, and he says that Travis Buchanan was much more than a boss.
You saw him as like a father figure?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, because all the time he helped me, All the time he told me, if you needed something, just let me know.
Garcia says the Buchanans were coming home from the beach when their plane went down, and they were the only people aboard. Your time is 8:10. Devastation in Texas. The number of people who died in severe flooding there is going up as teams search for people still missing. What we know about the ongoing recovery efforts. And comparing catastrophes. How this weekend's flooding compares to some of the state's most devastating hurricanes.
We're especially going to compare between Fran and Chantal, but as we get over this storm, we're looking ahead to some pretty intense heat today. I'll show you the worst of that, and I'll show you when we could see some limited showers and storms. That's coming up in just a bit. .14 today, WRAL Weather Alert Days. We see some more intense heat later in the day. For now, it's already warm out there with temperatures in the triangle between 77 and 82. Currently in Cary and in Garner, Nightdale at 78, Zebulon checking in at 79 degrees. A lot of kids heading back to summer camp. There's even some year-round school going on. Whether it's work or play, just make sure that you're staying hydrated today. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 90s. Limited storm chance for us after about 5 p.m. or so. And the threat for severe weather is a level 1 out of 5. So that's pretty isolated throughout the 23 counties that we cover. But each day, especially Wednesday through Friday, there's going to be more of those summertime storms. Be checking back in with the WRAL weather app for the timing and the location of those all throughout the week. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Chris. And taking a look at traffic once again this morning, couple crashes dotting the map here. This first crash that we were talking about before was on US 64. We're going to get to that in just a minute. But first, up in Durham, a serious crash north Gregson Street near Trinity Avenue. That's been there for a while. I haven't really seen any delays from that one. Another one just north of that near the Durham Freeway. This is Lotta Road near Guest Road. Have not seen any delays from that one either. We were following a pretty big delay on US 64. That seems to have cleared. Still seeing a couple of delays from that. So if you were in that area, just keep that in mind. Take a look at this, though. Coming in on 40 from Wade Avenue, you're going to see about a 17-minute delay this morning. And coming in on NC 50 from or 98 from NC 50, you're going to see a 2-minute delay this morning.
And Jeff Hogan in the WRAL Live Center as we continue to follow flood concerns here at home. We continue to get live pictures like this one out of Texas where concerns over the flooding and the number of people still missing is a huge concern here, looking at a dam that's overflown. We do have some video, though, I want to show you here as now that death toll has exceeded 100 people there in Texas. Rescuers are looking for dozens of people, and they're looking at more heavy rain and thunderstorms coming in today. The people killed, most of them were from the town of Kerrville. And authorities in that county say there were 68 people who died, 28 children. There was a Coast Guard worker, a swimmer, who gave up his spot on a helicopter so more kids could get on from that summer camp and get rescued on the helicopter. He is credited with saving 165 children. President Trump also says that he plans to visit that area in Texas that has been hit hard by flooding. And just see that is raging right now over this dam. There's actually a tire stuck in that, and you're seeing a look right there of some of the aftermath. Scary.
So devastating to see. That community needs all the help they can get. Thank you, Jeff. Despite claims saying the opposite, the National Weather Service says it was adequately staffed before the Texas floods. The agency also confirmed warning messages were sent out before the disaster, and this information was released in response to growing questions about the agency's staffing as a whole. Federal cuts have led to widespread staff reductions at the Weather Service in just the past few months.
The staffing that we had in both San Angelo and San Antonio offices, we had adequate amount of staff to get out the alerts and warnings to the public. The flood warning was issued 12 hours in advance of the event.
One of the counties most devastated by the flooding doesn't have weather sirens or cell phone service, and weather radio can be limited in those areas. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are talking about a possible ceasefire in Gaza. The two world leaders met yesterday at the White House, and they also discussed the recent conflict between Israel and Iran. Netanyahu announced that he is nominating President Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize after the recent U.S. strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. Let's go back to Chantal to talk about that, right? So the people hit hard by that storm. They're comparing it to Fran back in 1996. And in today's Ask the Meteorologist, Chris Michaels looked back at some data to see if there is some accuracy to that comparison. So, Chris, you looked at just how similar and different the storms were from another.
Yeah, there were a lot of similarities. There were a lot of differences. One of the similarities is something that you didn't need data to see, right? Some of you guys took the picture of this sign where the water levels got to during Hurricane Fran along the Eno River. I want to say thanks to Casey Neal for safely getting that picture. But looking back at the paths of these storms, the gray or the white there is Chantal, the red is Fran. You see there's some subtle differences, but they move through some very similar areas of North Carolina, especially some of our western counties. So here's a look at the radar estimated rain totals, and you just see that relentless swath that went from Lumberton to Roxborough of about 4 to 8, even up to 10 inches of rain. Now compare that to what we saw with Fran, and you see that footprint. It still goes through those counties, but that footprint is even more widespread. Now, on WRAL.com, in Ask the Meteorologist, we're talking about some of the key differences that saved more of the area from seeing a repeat of Hurricane Fran. Chris?
Thank you, Chris. The National Weather Service confirmed 4 tornadoes touched down in our area as part of this storm. Crews surveyed the location yesterday in Lee, Chatham, Alamance, and Orange counties. And so we caught up with the team at the site of that tornado touchdown in Lee County. To see more of what the inspectors saw there, you can check out the WRAL YouTube page. Now, in that aftermath of Chantal, beaches along our coast are being affected. The storm led to high rip current danger.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Your time is 8:26. I'm Chris Levingood, and yes, today is a WRAL Weather Alert Day. Meteorologist Chris Michaels is explaining exactly why that is.
A lot of that has to do with the heat. You combine that with the cleanup from the storm, and it's enough to issue a WRAL Weather Alert Day. There's a heat advisory in effect from the Weather Service, too. As temperatures reach the mid to upper 90s, the heat index gets well into the triple digits. Also, what's rising, the levels at Jordan Lake forecast to hit about 231 feet. The normal is 216, making some recovery efforts or search efforts a little tough out there. Some good news to pass along. The river levels at the Eno, the Haw, and the Cape Fear starting to drop and go below flood stage. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Chris. Quite a bit of traffic to cover for you here. This is I-40 at Wade Avenue. A lot of people on the road. Not seeing any crashes here, just a lot of slowdowns, which is typical for this type of morning. One major crash that we are following right now over in Wendell is happening on US 64 near Lizard Lick Road. You can see all of the red, the purple on that map indicating that road is shut down at Lizard Lick Road. Sky 5 is on the way to that scene. We'll have an update coming up for you on Fox 50. Chris.
All right, sounds good, Michelle. This morning, teams are back at Jordan Lake to resume the search for 2 missing boaters. It has been more than 24 hours since those boaters were last seen launching their canoe. They launched from Martha's Chapel Road access, and that canoe was found empty hours later. Chatham County Sheriff Mike Robertson says that they are not giving up hope. Happening today, Governor Josh Stein is expected to visit the areas hardest hit from Chantal's rainfall. He's going to tour Lake Michael Park in Mebane to survey flood aftermath. The storm caused major damage across central North Carolina, as you see here on your screen. We're talking about thousands of people who lost power and dozens of roads that were flooded. Next on Fox 50, Wake County school leaders kick things off with a community donation drive to support teachers.
And today, WRAL Weather Alert Day, mostly because of the heat advisory that's in effect. We'll show you when and where, and also where we could see a few limited storms out there in the heat coming up.
Search for missing boaters. Today, teams are back on Jordan Lake trying to find 2 people who vanished more than 24 hours ago. We're giving you a live look right now at that effort that's underway. Hear why officials and families are still holding out hope. And Chantal's impact: homes, businesses, and streets flooded. Ahead, what the recovery effort looks like this morning after the storm. We're going to be going to Durham and Chapel Hill. So many communities that are trying to recover after that devastating severe weather the other day. Thanks so much for joining us here on WRAL News and Fox 50. I am Chris Levingood. Let's dive right on into it with why today is a WRAL Weather Alert Day. We have Chris Michaels explaining that for you.
A lot of that has to do with the heat advisory that was issued yesterday by the National Weather Service. So that's in effect today from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. You combine that with the fact that you've got a lot of people cleaning up after Chantal. And so that's enough to where if you're not treating things properly, you run the risk of getting sick. So, of course, water electrolytes before, during, and after doing any kind of work out there. Temperatures by midday already in the low to mid 90s. Afternoon highs mid to maybe even upper 90s out there. And there's a limited chance for showers and storms, especially after 4 or 5 p.m. Again, keep in mind, we cover 23 counties. The threat for severe weather isolated within that area, so that's why it's a level 1 risk out of 5 for stronger thunderstorms. But now we see more storms in the forecast for Wednesday and Thursday. Because the ground is waterlogged in parts of the area, there's a slightly higher chance for localized flooding tomorrow. We'll continue to update you on the timing all throughout the week. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Chris. And staying on top of your traffic this morning, this is a live look I-40 at Wade Avenue. Traffic slowly starting to clear up. Didn't see any crashes or anything, just some pretty heavy delays on 40, which is pretty typical every morning, right near Wade Avenue. That is always a very busy area. A major crash that we are following right now in Wendell. The road is shut down. US 64 is shut down right now at Lizard Lick Road. You can see the purple on that map there because of a crash. You can see all the purple indicating that road is shut down. We are working to get more details on what exactly happened here. Authorities are on the scene there. So again, we are working to get as many details as we can. As soon as we learn anything, we will let you know. Sky 5 did try to fly over that scene. They were unable to. So as soon as we have more information on this, we will let you know here on Fox 50. I do have some I-40 delays for you. 5 minutes on 440 coming to US 1 and Wade Avenue to I-540. That'll take you about 4 minutes this morning. As always, listen to us anytime, anywhere on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
All right, thank you, Michelle. A highway patrol chase ended in a Raleigh neighborhood early this morning, and this happened just after 1 o'clock. Troopers say the chase started because a man took off during a traffic stop, and that chase ended in a neighborhood off Six Forks Road. Highway Patrol says the man was later found hiding in a culvert, and the suspect had felony warrants. We're going to get back to that story we have been following as teams are back on Jordan Lake searching for 2 missing boaters. It has been more than 24 hours since those boaters were last seen launching their canoe. Let's bring in Ali Kabdubar. She is in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. And Ali, I imagine it's just a somber moment there. They're just trying to hold out hope, trying to find these 2 people.
Yes, Chris, I mean, all eyes here, possible family members, loved ones, and every agency out here, all eyes are on the water, clinging on to hope. And just the past 15 minutes, we've seen a flat bottom boat head out into the water. We've also seen another raft arrive. So now we have 3 boats in the water searching for those 2 missing boaters. Now, a deputy earlier told me that the rising water levels is causing a challenge for them. It's risen 13 feet above normal, rising even more overnight and expected to rise today. We know that those 2 boaters went missing around 5 Sunday. Their canoe turned up hours after they launched. And we know that crews have also been out here yesterday. This is only day 2. This is day 2 of them searching for those 2 missing boaters. And so they have been out here using every resource possible to find these 2 missing people. But of course, they are trying all their efforts out here. We're going to keep you guys updated throughout the morning. Reporting in Chatham County, Ali Kabdubar, WRAL News.
A Chatham County woman died just 3 miles from that boat launch during the flooding, and that's according to Highway Patrol. The woman was identified as 83-year-old Sandra Hirschman. This all started after 11:30 Sunday night on Farrington Point Road near Hinton Road. That is where and when troopers say Hirschman's car was swept away, but no one else was in the car with her. Communities are still recovering from Chantal's impact. Today, Governor Josh Stein will tour some of the hardest hit areas. He'll be at Lake Michael Park in Mebane to survey the flood damage from Chantal. And right now, there are more than 5,000 power outages across the state. Chatham County, I should say, is accounting for a majority of the outages with more than 3,000. And according to NCDOT, there are dozens of roads closed from flooding across the state. And today, teams are here locally surveying the damage from Chantal. We do have live coverage on this. WRAL's Laura Levine is live in Durham, but we do want to begin with Kelsey Coffey live in Chapel Hill because, Kelsey, it's those businesses out there. I mean, their products, their stores destroyed.
Yes, Chris, and just within the last 30 minutes, we've noticed that more store owners have come here to Eastgate Crossing Shopping Center here in Chapel Hill just to check on their businesses. We've been talking a lot about the wine store, but we know that store owners here at Rise Biscuits have now arrived just collecting any trash, any debris, or any merchandise here that may be left over. You can see that all of those wine bottles there are on the ground. Crews have to spray those down with water first, clean them off before they can put them in the dumpster. But we'll take you to some video now just so you can see the extent of all of this damage to businesses here at Eastgate Crossing. Mary Stowe's yarn store was one of those businesses. She says repairs are adding another financial strain on her business after being impacted by tariffs.
I had spent every dime I had on more merchandise, getting ready. We're a seasonal business, and my season starts and gets really busy in the fall. And all the prices of everything went up, so I took all my money and put it into merchandise. There it is.
8:45 on your Tuesday morning. It's a WRAL weather alert day because of the intense heat that we have. Heat advisories are in effect for all of our counties with high temperatures reaching 94 to 98 degrees. Storm chance is pretty limited, and we're going to have to wait quite some time for us to even see some hit or miss storms, probably after 4 p.m. or so. Again, not everybody is going to see them, but because of how hot it is, any storm that develops could bring down some pretty strong wind gusts. It's already warm out there as we take a look town by town. Durham's at 82, Garner's at 79. We're in the mid-to-upper 70s now in Roxborough with a temperature in Cary and Holly Springs at 80 degrees. So if you're planning ahead for the lunch break already by midday, we'll be in the low to mid 90s with high temperatures again reaching into the mid to upper 90s. Now temperatures will come down. That comes with an increased storm chance. We'll show you what that means for additional flood risks coming up. Michelle?
Oh, boy. All right. Thank you, Chris. And keeping an eye on your traffic this morning. This is a live look at the traffic map. Little yellow and red on the map there indicating some delays. But the big delay, the big story we are tracking this morning traffic-wise is a crash in Wendell. This is near Lizard Lick Road on US 64. That road is shut down at Lizard Lick Road. All of that purple on that map indicating that shutdown there because of a crash. We are working to get more details on how many cars were involved in this, what happened here. I was looking at reports. It looks like that road is going to be shut down until at least 10 o'clock this morning. So your best bet is to get off just before Arundel Avenue, which is Shepherd School Road, and take Gannon Avenue around that to avoid that delay. You can then join US 64 once you get past Lizard Lick Road. But again, US 64 near Lizard Lick Road right now shut down because of a crash. As soon as I have any more details, I'll let you know, Chris.
We'll check back in with you. Thank you, Michelle. Scrolling social media might actually be costing you money. 5 on your side's Ashley Rowe explains how that's happening.
Get this, we spend about 2.5 hours on social media per day. That's according to researchers, and that is a whole lot of opportunity for advertisers to slide into your feed and try to convince you to buy their product. The folks at Wallet Hub studied how social media habits led to impulse buying. They found a lot of people unhappy with their purchases through social media ads and the dent it made in their budget. Take a look at these numbers. 4 in 5 said they would spend less money if they deleted their social media accounts. 1 in 5 described their social media purchases as scams, and 54% of people regret purchases that they made on social media.
We're not saying give up on social media altogether. Some people's livelihoods, businesses, their way of life revolves around social media, and it can be and is a great marketing tool, but you just have to be a little bit more careful when it comes to making purchases.
To avoid scams, if you see a great deal in an ad, go to the retailer's website and look it up yourself. If it's not there, chances are that ad is not legit. For 5 on your side, I'm Ashley Rowe.
Amazon's popular Prime Day sale kicks off today. Amazon will be running Prime Day for 4 full days from today through this Friday, the 11th. Now, in the past, this event was only 2 days, and this is the first major change to the duration of Amazon's Summer Prime Day festivities since 2017. The Tools for Schools Community Supply Drive starts this week, and Wake County school leaders will kick things off today. For the next few weeks, you can help teachers who have to spend their own money on supplies for class. The Community Drive is going to start tomorrow, and it ends August 22nd. The supply drive features public drop-off locations across Wake County, and you will find all those details at wakeed.org. Durham Public Schools is hosting its annual Countdown to Kindergarten event today. Parents will get the chance to learn and question, of course, about kindergarten and the registration process and enrollment, too. The event will be at the Museum of Life and Science on West Murray Avenue, and that is from 6 to 8 p.m. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Well, apparently the Post Service knows. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
If you're a SpongeBob SquarePants fan and movies, TV shows, and the occasional parade are not enough, the U.S. Post Office hears you. SpongeBob and the Bikini Bottom Gang appear on 4 new Forever stamps, which are to be officially unveiled August 1st in New York.
I was like, oh, word, okay.
Michael B. Jordan is teaming up with a Black Panther co-star for his reimagining of the Thomas Crown Affair. The Hollywood Reporter says Denai Gurira, also known for The Walking Dead, is joining the romantic heist thriller, which Jordan is also directing and producing. Oscar winner Kenneth Branagh and Oscar nominee Lily Gladstone are also on board.
The numbers all go to 11.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder.
This is Spinal Tap had fans rocking over the weekend. The mockumentary's 41st anniversary re-release grossed more than $1 million with limited showtimes, prompting distributors to add more play dates July 8th, 9th, and 10th. A sequel, Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues, is due out September 12th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
In Harnett County, people are closely watching the water level on the Cape Fear River. They shared this aerial photo on Facebook, and Cape Fear Shriner Park, it's closed as officials monitor river levels. The Park and Rec departments hope to reopen the park to the public tomorrow. And Wake County is reopening its cooling centers with triple-digit heat index values expected this week. Now, if you don't have access to air conditioning, you can escape the heat at libraries, regional centers, and health and human service offices. They will be open through at least tomorrow. And folks, please, if you need these facilities, use them. This is why they make them available. And Chris, you're talking about just the heat indices that we were just speaking that were expected this week. This is why today is a WRAL Weather Alert Day.
Exactly, right? Because you have that and the cleanup continuing after Tropical Storm Chantal. Now, water levels are receding. That's good news for the Cape Fear and Willington that you were just talking about. But there are some storms in the forecast over the course of the next few days that we'll have to keep an eye on. Now, the storm threat today looks to be pretty limited. There's going to be your fair weather cumulus clouds that try and bubble up. But in terms of the overall coverage area that we have, not everybody's going to go seeing storms. Chances there after about 4 or 5 p.m. for us to see about a 30% coverage of them. But I do expect that most of the storms are going to be up in Virginia. I used to cover those mountains, and a lot of times when storms go down the mountains, it's like a figure skater that once they bring their arms in, they start to spin a little bit more. So for us, I'm not necessarily concerned about widespread severe weather. In fact, the next few days, even though we see more in the way of showers and storms, the threat for any kind of damaging wind gusts will be lower. The unfortunate thing is that because we're waterlogged now, you have to monitor the threat for additional flash flooding. That'll be late tomorrow afternoon, again late Thursday afternoon, and to some extent could be a possibility again heading into Friday afternoon. Live look over our Garner Tower, and there you see those fair weather cumulus clouds right now. They're pretty shallow though, right? They're not growing really tall, so storm threat for the time being is nice and low. Temperatures are not nice and low. It's already 82. When the dew point is high, it adds to that heat index that Chris was talking about, and it does indeed get into the triple digits starting around midday today. So your high temperatures, or your air temperature, I should say, that's in your bright red there. That gets into the mid to upper 90s. That's higher than we were yesterday. And you factor in the humidity, and the heat index does get well into the triple digits. So it's going to be something we monitor today and potentially into tomorrow prior to more numerous storms. Those develop late in the day. We'll keep that chance each day running forward through the rest of the week. Heading into the weekend, they should be a little more hit and miss, at which point temperatures come up a little bit more with highs about 92 to 94. Chris?
All right, thank you, Chris. And folks, before we go to break, we do want to give you a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers. And of course, we'll get you another check on traffic in just a moment.